All right. Good afternoon, class. Today, our team's going to present our strategic analysis of Pikes Peak Harley Davidson in Colorado Springs. We've conducted a comprehensive assessment using multiple analytical frameworks to identify growth opportunities for this flagship dealership. I'm Spencer Stewart, and my teammates, Dondre Elliott, Jeremy, and Joel, will walk you through our findings and our recommendations. So here's our agenda for today. We'll begin with an executive summary of our findings, then move through our company overview, strategic assessments using the balanced scorecard and Porter's Five Forces, followed by our growth strategies, innovation initiatives, and organizational development recommendations. We'll conclude with financial projections and our strategic recommendations for Harley Davidson Colorado Springs, Pikes Peak Harley Davidson. Let me start with the key findings. Pikes Peak Harley Davidson is at a critical juncture. While maintaining market leadership with a 38% share in Colorado Springs, the dealership faces significant challenges. The service department takes 28 days to complete repairs, twice the industry standard of 14 days. They're overly dependent on new bike sales, which account for 45% of revenue versus the industry best practice of 35 to 40%. The strategic imperatives are clear. We have to capture emerging demographics, particularly women and millennials, counter the threat from electric motorcycles where 28% of new riders prefer electric options, optimize our service operations, and diversify revenue streams. Our recommended strategy uses Blue Ocean principles to create new market space. We'll implement Learn to Ride programs and AR technology, expand into Denver and Pueblo markets, diversify through rentals and tourism packages, and transform our organization with agile structures and balanced initiatives. We project market share growth to 45%, 40% service efficiency improvements, and 150% ROI within 3 years. Let me provide context about Pikes Peak Harley Davidson. Their mission is that we will fulfill dreams of personal freedom, which resonates strongly in Colorado Springs, particularly with our military population and outdoor culture. We embody core values of authenticity, community engagement, and American heritage. As the leading heavyweight motorcycle dealer in Colorado Springs, they serve three key demographics: traditional riders aged 35 to 70, who represent 55% of their base, military personnel comprising 22% of customers, and growing segments of women and millennials. However, women currently represent only 12% of the customers versus 20% nationally. It's a significant opportunity gap. Location at the foothills of Pikes Peak uniquely positions us as an adventure destination, attracting riders nationwide for our scenic mountain passes and back roads.
All right. Going into our strategic foundation assessment. Our strategic foundation shows strong mission market alignment with Colorado values. We've identified 4 key stakeholder groups: customers spanning traditional riders to tourists, employees including technicians and sales staffs, Harley Davidson corporate, and the Colorado Springs community. Our strategic CSR initiatives include veteran programs leveraging our military connections, motorcycle safety courses addressing community concerns, and youth outreach programs to develop future riders. As our dealership contract explains, we're uniquely positioned to embody freedom and adventure, sitting at the foothills of America's mountain riders from across the country coming to experience our mountain passes and our country roads. Next slide. Going into our balanced scorecard analysis. Our balanced scorecard reveals critical performance gaps in all 4 dimensions. First, financially, we've been over-reliant on new sales at 45% of the rev. We've been reliant on new sales at 45% revenue versus the industry standard, which is 35 to 40%. Our service profit margin of 32% falls below the benchmark, which is 40%, including operational inefficiencies. From a customer perspective, while traditional riders show high satisfaction of 4.7 out of 5, we're declining scores from military customers, which is at 3.9. And this is due to scheduling inflexibilities, and new riders rate us a 3.1 out of 5, which is citing inadequate beginner support from our dealership. Moving into internal processes, showing our most significant challenge. Service duration is at 28 days, which is double the 14-day industry standard, and we carry 98 days of inventory versus the 75-day benchmark, unnecessarily tying us to working capital. Learning and growth metrics indicate our 68% of technicians are certified compared to the 85% company benchmark. Digital literacy gaps in our sales staff limits our e-commerce capabilities, and these are deficiencies directly impacting our service efficiency and our ability to attract young customers. Next slide. All right, moving into our balanced scorecard. This visualization clearly shows our performance gaps. Notice how our new bike sales revenues and service cycle times significantly exceed the target, while our customer satisfaction for our new riders and military personnel falls well short. The learning and growth metrics at the bottom, technician certification and digital proficiency, represents our foundational issues that cascade up to affect all of our other performance areas.
Now let's look at Porter.
I think
Let's
this
look
is me.
at. Oh, my bad.
All right, our Porter five forces reveals our competitive landscape. While entry barriers remain high at 2 to 3 million for traditional dealerships, electric motorcycle startups are emerging with lower infrastructure requirements. This represents our most significant strategic threat. Buying power varies dramatically by segment. Traditional buyers show low price sensitivity, willing to pay 15 to 20% premiums for the Harley brand. However, new riders demonstrate high price sensitivity and actively consider alternatives. We face high supplier power due to dependency on Harley Davidson corporate for inventory, parts, and branding. The threat of substitutes is intensifying. 28% of new riders now prefer electric bikes as their first bike. Additionally, Colorado Springs Outdoors focus on more recreational vehicles than bikes themselves. Competitive rivalry is moderate locally, which has 2 major dealerships, but intensifies regionally with multiple competitors within 100-mile. Online uses markets, further increasing competition. The key insights: electric vehicle manufacturers represent our most significant strategic threat. Now passing it over to Joel.
So looking at the Porter's 5 forces visual that we have here, this radar chart visualizes our competitive forces. Notice how the threat of substitutes and suppliers' power show the highest intensity, while the competitive rivalry remains moderate. This visual reinforces that our strategic response must address both the electric vehicle disruption and our dependency on corporate relationships. Next slide, please. Looking at our growth strategies, we propose a 3-pillar expansion strategy. First, demographic expansion targeting women riders, currently at 12% of our base versus 20% industry-wide. For millennials, we'll shift from ownership to experience-based models, recognizing that 38% prefer renting over buying. Second, geographic expansion with targeted approaches. Denver requires urban commuter solutions and accessible locations. Pueblo's rural atmosphere calls for adventure touring packages highlighting scenic routes. Third, revenue. Here we will implement diversification through motorcycle rentals, a market growing 6.2% annually. Well, we'll create tourism packages partnering with local hotels and attractions. Our Learn to Ride programs will lower entry barriers for new riders. Implementation begins immediately with cultural transformation, followed by the Denver pilot at 6 months and rental services launch within 12 months. Next slide, please. On the Blue Ocean Strategy framework, here we note our Blue Ocean Strategy creates uncontested market space by targeting non-consumers. The 72% of people who don't ride due to inexperience. Using 4 actions framework will eliminate barriers for new riders, including complex purchasing process and traditional dealership constraints that intimidate beginners. We'll get that out of the way. We'll reduce new rider anxiety through structured programs, lower inventory costs via AR technology, and cut service wait timelines. Will raise our beginner-friendly experiences, technology integration, and community inclusivity. Most importantly, we'll create entirely new offerings. Learn to Ride progression programs take non-riders from basic to ownership. AR showroom experiences for virtual customization and test rides, rent-to-own pathways, female-specific riding courses, and social riding groups with mentors. This isn't just about competing for existing riders, it's about creating new ones. The Learn to Ride program uses existing staff and facilities, while AR requires only $25 to $50K investment, but dramatically enhances the experience. Next slide, please. Finally, innovation implementation. Let's detail our Blue Ocean initiative. The Learn to Ride program targets the 72% who cite inexperience as their barrier, with monthly workshops progress from safety fundamentals through licensing to social riding groups and eventual ownership. With minimal investment using existing resources, we expect 38% conversion to ownership within 18 months. Our AR showroom targets tech-savvy millennials. Features include virtual customization, color and accessory try-ons, virtual test rides through Colorado routes, 3D mechanical exploration, and social sharing capabilities. The 25 to 50K investment yields 40% faster purchase decisions and 28% higher accessory sales. The synergy is powerful. Learn to Ride graduates feel comfortable using AR technology for their first purchase, creating a seamless journey from learning to ownership. This integrated approach differentiates us from the competitors still using traditional sales model. Next, I'll pass it on to Jeremy.
So when it comes to organizational development, transformation of the organization is going to be critical for our strategy execution. Our current hierarchical structure creates some bottlenecks, like service authorizations require multiple approvals on different levels. That extends those repair times. Sales-focused initiatives mean that essentially the employees are prioritizing the new bike sales over service and just overall retention. We propose that we do an agile structure, which is going to more empower those frontline decisions. So if we can make where the service advisors can approve repairs up to 500 without manager approval, That'll speed that up. And then balancing out the incentive system, making it so 40% goes for the bike unit sales, 30% comes through that service revenue, and 30% is based off that customer satisfaction. That'll reward the customers through their entire journey through the dealership and their experience with us. Culturally, while the outlaw image generally attacks the traditional riders and has worked in the past, research has shown that 68% of the potential female riders feel excluded there. So, in doing what we're working on there, we're going to maintain that core identity, but we're going to add some inclusive elements like women only events and have that diverse staff representation to show that anybody is welcome there and it's not just the outlaw. Leadership development will combine that technical training, especially in the realm of electric vehicles and those new live wire bikes, with just the soft skills overall for bikes in general. This will result in a 22% improvement in customer service response times and will directly impact that satisfaction and then just overall retention. Next slide. There we go. For strategic recommendations, our implementation roadmap is going to span across 3 different phases. Phase 1 is going to be the first 6 months, and that's going to be launching that Learn to Ride program. That's where we're going to implement that augmented reality showroom and start working on the staff for the digital training and everything that'll involve with that. Getting these foundational elements in is going to be key to building on to phase 2 and phase 3. So for phase 2, that'll be months 6 through 12. We're going to start trying to work on extending out into that Denver market using low cost market entry strategy that we have. And we're going to start working on rental operations up in Denver using that existing used bike inventory that we have and some of the newer ones during that off-peak season. That'll help develop the tourism partnerships with local businesses up there as well. Then when we hit phase 3, that'll be months 12 through 18. We're going to work on expanding that to Pueblo as well. We're going to, in the other markets, work on service department optimization, and we're going to continually measure and just kind of adjust that strategy as each phase is going in. The key success metrics for that is going to be reducing that service turnaround time from 28 to 14 days. That should improve new rider rates by 38%, hopefully, and we'll be shifting that revenue mix from 45% of new sales to 35% new sales, being dependent on the revenue into some of those other realms that we discussed. This phased approach is going to help us manage that risk while we're also building the momentum for sustainable growth. Next slide. Financial projections show that we're going to have some strong returns on just some overall modest investments. That AR technology would be 25 to 50K, and in our numbers, it's going to drive 28% in accessories for sales, and that would generate an additional 150,000 in annual revenue. The 75,000 annual staff training investment would address the 68% that we're currently sitting at up to 85% technician certification gap. Those certifications are going to allow the technicians to work 40% more efficiently, directly impacting that service productivity. Moving up to Denver and working on that pilot program would require 500,000. That would start with pop-ups for rentals and then service centers up there before full dealership commitment overall, so we can kind of test that market while reducing risk. The rental program would need minimal additional investment because we'd be using that existing inventory during the off-peak seasons where we aren't nearly selling as much. With tourism in Colorado generating 24 billion annually and motorcycle rentals growing 6.2% yearly, we're looking hopefully to project that 300,000 in rental revenue by year 2. This would give us a market share growth from 38% currently up to 45%, and that's fairly conservative given all the different initiatives that we're using. The combination would be of these yields is going to give us that break even at around 18 months with 150% return on investment year 3. Next slide. So, in conclusion, Pikes Peak Harley Davidson needs to balance that overall heritage and just kind of culture that people expect with Harleys with new innovation to kind of make sure that its future is set in stone. Our strategic imperatives are clear. We need to diversify beyond the traditional demographics while maintaining the brand authenticity. We need to leverage technology to enhance rather than replace the overall dealer experience and expand geographically while staying true to our local community. Our competitive advantages provide a strong foundation overall. We have that unmatched brand loyalty along those traditional riders. We have prime location at the gateway to all of Colorado's different scenic routes. And we have those deep community military ties and established service capabilities that we already have. Our vision overall is to become Colorado's premier motorcycle destination for all riders, from not only seasoned enthusiasts, but to the base of those first time adventurers. By using all these different strategies, we'll not only survive, but we're going to thrive in the evolving motorcycle industry. Last slide. Do we have any questions?
Hey, thanks for everybody for your attention. We're now happy to answer any questions about our strategic analysis and recommendations for Pikes Peak Harley Davidson, whether it's about those specific initiatives, financial projections, or implementation details. We can discuss how the strategy positions the dealership for sustainable growth.